Hello and welcome to Get Focused. You're here with Bill K and Gina Fay. Hello, Gina. How are you today?
Hey, Bill, I'm marvelous. How are you?
I'm doing well. So we
Good.
want to go over a couple things. Gina has some exciting news about something she's going to be involved with, and I'll have her explain it because it might sound better coming from her. Go ahead, Gina.
All right. Well, I was just telling you, and actually, I'm really kind of surprised at how many people know about this, even though it's been around for years. Um, so I'm not surprised that you'd never heard of it, and I'm really happy to be able to introduce it to you and to the audience, whoever has not heard of it.
Yes.
It's called the Vagina Monologues, and it was started years ago by a woman named Eve Ensler. And what she decided to do was shatter some taboos about the use of the word vagina. Vagina is not a word that's in common usage. It still gets a smirk. It still gets, a discomfort from people. So what she did was,
Okay. I want to interject real quickly, but
yeah,
okay. So aren't there other words that cause the same type of reaction?
well, yeah. What's your point?
No, it fascinates me as well that we react to certain words
Right.
that are just,
They're just
there isn't anything special about them. It's just, they're just words.
right.
And other words we do not respond to the same way. So go
Well,
ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, and I think that this was, I think it was more than 20 years ago that she put out a call to women between 16 and 100 to come and be interviewed by her about their vaginas.
Okay. Very interesting.
What she did was she recorded their stories and she created a Broadway show called the Vagina Monologues using their stories. So, what happened was quite famous actors would get up on stage on stools. I don't know how many women there were who participated in this. It was women who read other women's stories, monologues about their vaginas.
Interesting.
And it was Meryl Streep, and it was, I mean, you name it, stellar actors on Broadway who did this. And this went on for, I think it was running for quite a few years. And it was a constantly changing cast of actors, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, it makes it fresh.
Whoopi Goldberg was in it. Oh, you name it, and they were in it.
Right.
And in any case, then I'm not sure how it transitioned, but I know it stopped being on Broadway. And then every year, um, subsequently, Eve Ensler allows anybody that wants to in February on a date designated as V Day, which is February 23rd, I think, to put the vagina monologues on using her monologues, using her, her structure and so on, with two stipulations. Well, let me see. Yeah. The first stipulation is that anybody who wants to be part of it should be allowed to be part of it. Anybody who auditions is going to be part of it.
Right. So they
And
don't pick favorites
yeah,
and
yeah. And the second thing is that if you're going to put it on, you're going to charge admission, and all the admission proceeds are going to go to benefit women and children who are victims of violence.
very good.
Okay. Now, having said that, I'm going to read you. So I auditioned, having auditioned, I went and read, if I want a part in it, I've got a part in it. So I have a part in it. I did it 8 years ago too in Connecticut.
Oh,
I
wow.
Yeah, so I that's something I never told you about me. But anyway, so the director, the co-director sent out this email which gives a little bit more background to it and a little bit more a better description that I'm giving. So she says it has been more than 20 years since Eve Ensler first shadowed taboos with this powerful and incredibly poetic relevance of breaking barriers and bringing the violence against girls and women to the forefront of social consciousness. You all rocked your casting call, and we're both so excited to have your voice tell these incredible stories. These stories not only birthed a global movement to end violence against women and girls, but has empowered women to create change through shared experience and storytelling. You are now joining that sisterhood that will change the way many will see, feel, hear about their vaginas. Through these monologues, we will celebrate womanhood and condemn sexual oppression and the abuse of women's bodies. From a 6 year old's innocent description of her vagina to a woman in her 70s from New York, from a vagina workshop participant to a woman being witness to the birth of her granddaughter, from a Bosnian rape survivor to a feminist who was happy to have a positive experience with a man, and so many more. We look forward to creating a show that will evoke emotions and reactions and so many conversations that provoke thought from these outrageous, disturbing, and amusing stories. This year's diverse cast includes women who are LGBTQ allies, women of color, with languages and accents ranging from the ages of 33 to 70, are from Hawaii and come to the Big Island from all parts of the United States and even the world. From therapists, Uber drivers, stand-up comedians, and home cleaners, to moms, small business owners, artists, social workers, and more. And then she just thanks everybody for being willing to do this.
So when you do this, this is going to be there in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, live. Yeah, in
S-
Hilo.
So it's a live event.
Yeah, it's a show.
Is it so? Is it broadcasted anywhere, or is it
I don't think
just
so. I don't think,
okay?
but if people are interested, there are many iterations of the Vagina Monologues that can be watched on YouTube.
Oh, very good. So
Yeah,
maybe
so
what we should do is we'll definitely put those in the show notes and a little description about this.
yeah, all people have to do really is search for Vagina Monologues on YouTube and they'll find it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's I as I said, I was in it 7 years ago, and the sisterhood that I experienced and the emotion that I experienced, it's in Hawaii they call it chicken skin, but it gave me goose pimples to be part of this.
Yeah.
Stories are unbelievable,
Well,
unbelievable.
well, I definitely feel that just like saying the word vagina, right, or the word penis,
Penis.
and different things that people feel uncomfortable with talking and discussing this because from a young age you're taught that these are
Dirty
not
word.
appropriate, and that causes that stigmatism, which causes that uncomfortable feeling. It's one of the things that we've tried to keep an open dialogue with our children at home. Not, you know, I guess
Not to cutesy
make
cutesy
light, yeah, not make it like it's a joke or, try to be as open
and
and communicate.
matter of fact, yeah.
Yeah,
This is your
because
arm. You
y-
don't you don't like giggle when I talk about this is my arm.
no, why would you, right?
Well, why would you when you say this is my vagina, this is my penis? It's
Absolutely.
part of your body.
Absolutely. And to me, it's such a communication is such a huge part of the world. We talk a lot about, oh, people have not learned how to communicate because of technology, right? We only communicate through text or email or digital. Well, who's to blame for that? It's not the technology.
Well, I don't know that there's any need for blame. What's the point of
No, but I don't mean like I don't but I
who's
don't mean it
blaming?
as a bad thing. I
Well,
mean it
blame
more as
is blame ever a good thing?
well, responsibility.
But you said blame, and
I
all
understand.
you said
So,
you said who's to blame for that?
correct.
And
I
I'm
used
just
the
saying,
statement who to blame.
there's
No
there's
one's to blame.
yeah, it's not about blame. It's
But
just
if there was to be a responsible party, it would be us in general, correct?
well, we are responsible.
Right.
We make choices every minute of every day. So
But
these
it's fascinating that people reference uh, other sources as being responsible. So technology has caused. No, it's how we use technology has caused
yeah. Well, I mean, for the most part, people are not inclined naturally to take
to
ownership of
take
behavior.
ownership.
Yeah, they're much more inclined to to place the blame on some external source.
Which is fascinating about um, this show that you're going to be involved in, because it opens up that dialogue of, this is an uncomfortable thing for a lot of people to openly discuss, but that's part of growth, right? Is stepping out of your comfort zone and into those uncomfortable areas.
Absolutely.
And then you find out that you're part. What did you say? You said when you did it years ago, it was such a sisterhood, such
Oh, it was
a
amazing.
feeling of inclusion with other women, because we don't share it. Just like men don't share their feelings, with each other. And
Wait, men have feelings?
well, I
I
know I
thought
do.
I thought men, you have a lot of feelings, but mostly they're thinkings.
No, but okay, so it's thoughts, but it's also thoughts that provoke a feeling, right? A feeling. So if I feel sad, I don't discuss why I feel sad with another man. I have trouble discussing it with people in general, as the way that I was brought up, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I've learned how to be more open and
yeah,
discuss, hence the
yeah,
podcast.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that is a feeling, correct?
Sad?
Sad.
Of course.
Yes. Just like feelings of happiness
Yeah.
and the thoughts that provoke those feelings.
Or the experiences that provoke those feelings.
Yes.
Thoughts don't really provoke them. Thoughts tend to provoke emotions, which are stories we tell ourselves that we hook onto feelings. So, for example, if we get frightened when we're children, by violence or something, we develop an emotion and a story around that feeling of fear. And
Attached to it.
consequently, it's like fused thinking, but fused feeling. Consequently, every time we feel afraid, we go right back to that original story of what happened when we were first afraid, and then we retell that story over and over again. And that's what I think an emotion is, to make a distinction between feelings. Feelings are what come and go, like the wind. A feeling lasts for 10, 15, 20 seconds based on, what's going on around you or within you or whatever. But it doesn't
Right.
last. But a lot of people get stuck in emotions because they read
Okay, that makes
the
sense.
story over and over again, not usually to their benefit either, because they can't separate it. It becomes fused to them in their mind. So yeah, I coined a new phrase this weekend,
Okay, let's hear it.
actually. Well, I got thinking, the
Uh-oh.
mind the,
So you were
will you,
thinking while I was feeling.
will you take me seriously for just a
I
nano?
am. I take you
Yeah,
seriously all the time.
yeah, of course you do though.
Okay, so what's your coined phrase here?
Well, what I was thinking about the fact that, and I'd like to talk about this further when I have more information about it, but I need to do more research. There's a lot of schools of thought, scientific schools of thought, that are more and more recognizing that the brain is a seat of wisdom, but the heart is a greater seat of wisdom. In fact, the organ of the heart is a greater source of wisdom for the human being than the brain is, which is really interesting. So, and yeah, so just let me
So
finish.
how does that work?
Yeah, I don't know how it works, but one thing that I came across quite a while ago is um, hearing about people who've received heart transplants from donors, and they take on the characteristics of the donor, whether they knew what those characteristics were or not.
Interesting.
So, for example, and I may be getting this wrong, and if anybody listening can correct me on this, I'm totally willing to be corrected. But so generally speaking, I think I heard about a woman who had eaten, organically and, raw food and, non-GMO all her life. She still had a heart condition and she needed a transplant. So she got the transplant. And coming home from the hospital, actually, she got this overwhelming craving for a Big Mac and fries. She would have sooner flown to the moon
Didn't have that.
prior than that, prior to that, than have that. Come to find out, and she had no knowledge of this. The heart that she got was from a 20-year-old kid who, whose favorite food was McDonald's, was Big Mac and
Yeah,
fries.
cheeseburgers. Yeah.
Yeah. Another story similar to that was somebody who was, I think, a young person who really just loved rock music and heavy metal and stuff like that. And they got a heart transplant from somebody who was a classical pianist, let's just say. I'm not getting it exact for sure.
No, I
But
understand.
but suddenly that the person with the new heart found themselves really wanting to listen to classical music, and they had never ever been any there'd never been any interest, and these people didn't know anything about their donors.
I wonder if there's a study out there
I'm sure there is.
relate. Yeah.
I'm sure there is, because I think that the statement that I made about the heart being as wise an organ as the brain probably stemmed from those experiences and many more like those of heart recipients, heart donor recipients. So the word that I coined was, you know, how we talk about practicing mindfulness and teaching ourselves mindfulness and so on.
Correct.
Well, I coined the word heartfulness.
I like heartfulness
I know.
because I tend to associate thoughts with feelings a lot of time.
And you come from the heart kind of naturally. That's a kind of natural place for you to be. And I think most of us do. You
Oh
know,
yeah, I agree with that.
left alone and left uncontaminated by our external environment. That's our children. Look at children. They are absolutely heartful.
Oh yeah, the it shows that how many different photographs and different videos of racism isn't you're not born a racist, you're taught to be a racist, or you're not born with hate, you're taught to feel hate. And I definitely agree with that. It's external you
Edu-
know
Culture.
things that are in our lives that yeah.
Yeah, the
I
conditioning.
mean, well, how many times have we discussed, you know, or briefly touched on politics and how, what is the issue with politics right now? And is it the actual politicians or is it the media that's driving the narrative for the politicians? And
Yeah,
there's
yes
a
to
lot
all.
to be said. It's all of it,
Yeah, I was just gonna say yes to all of the above. Yeah.
correct? But it's really what sells, and that's unfortunate because I see it with many people that I've grown up with that on social media are posting one way or the other, and it's not what I know them
To be.
as or to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's driven by what is in their face all the time,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. It's whipped up into a frenzy. There's no question about it.
and it's unfortunate.
And as I've said, I mean, I don't want to go too far down this road, but
No,
as
no,
I
no, not at all.
I mean, there's a part of me that just can't help wondering what this is a distraction from. Just like bread and circuses was a distraction for the Roman people.
Mhm.
The Colosseum and all of that. That was a distraction
Oh,
from
100%.
preventing people from knowing what was really going on in their society.
Yeah,
Here,
it's
look
pretty
over
it's
here.
pretty
No, don't look
fascinating.
at this. Look over here. No, don't
Yeah,
look.
look, squirrel.
Nothing going on over here. Look over here.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. But
yeah.
I do definitely agree with that left alone, everyone does start
From the heart.
from their heart.
And so
And
they talk about teaching mindfulness in schools, which I have no argument with whatsoever. Meditation in schools, I mean, fabulous. But why not incorporate heartfulness in that as well?
well, yeah, I use a lot of the stuff that I have learned on our episodes. This is episode number 29, by the way. So
Woohoo!
I've learned a lot on these episodes, and I use them every single day in my conversations with anyone I come in contact with for the most part, about the being open. And the more you're open, the more that people around you will be more open to
It's
you. And it's,
unbelievable.
and it is fascinating to me how it, you know, we naturally, like we stated earlier, we tend to put responsibility on everything other than ourselves. We don't want to take that responsibility because that's uncomfortable, and it's hard for us to be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Just
no,
like,
we're pleasure-seeking creatures. We avoid discomfort. However, discomfort is a really fundamental part of life. Birth is not comfortable for the mother or for the child. That's an incredibly uncomfortable passage through the birth canal.
absolutely. And I just heard, like we were discussing right before we started recording, the book that I just finished, the Audible book,
Yeah.
which is David Goggins, and
Yep.
there was many things that I've taken away, and I'm going to listen to it probably another 20 more times. But he said, he talks a lot about pain and embracing pain and the fear and going through these challenges in life. And he said, think about a seed, a plant. Do you think that when a plant breaks out of its shell, that is not one of the most painful things in the world, but it has to go through it in order to grow?
Well,
And
like
that
we
that
like
that was
like we
so
talked about
amazing.
the butterfly. Didn't we talk
Yeah,
about that just last week? If you help that butterfly get out, it's like an incredible ordeal for
yeah,
that butterfly to break out of the cocoon. It's incredibly strenuous, but that's how they become capable of flight.
yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's essential.
And it's something that we overlook. We try to turn our backs. We try to do everything we can not to experience pain and not to experience fear and uncomfortable
I know.
situations, right?
I know.
But in all, we should be running towards it, embracing it. One of the things that I've always taught with sales is embracing the no. Everyone is so scared of the customer, of the person they're interacting with, not purchasing, saying no. But in all reality, you need the no in order to get to the yes.
Well,
And
yeah.
you're not going to ever have 100% yes or 100% no. That's just part of life. It can't be great all the time, and it's not going to be horrible all the time either.
Well, that's like, wanting it to be sunny every single day, and night. You can't appreciate the sun unless you have the dark. You can't appreciate, you have to have and neither one, it's that goes back to the yin yang symbol again.
Absolutely.
All one thing, but we have a tendency to to look at them separately, and they're not at all separate. They're part. But I just want to say about the should. We should be running toward the pain.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like it. It bothers me to hear somebody say that they should do anything, because I don't like hearing people should on themselves. Because when you say I should do X, Y, and Z, for me, it's a way of saying, without coming out and saying it. So how I am right now is unacceptable. And I will be more acceptable if I just did A, B, and C. I should do this. I should
See,
do.
now I understand your point of view on that, but I also feel I want to grow. I
So
want to
to be
learn
okay,
how to be better.
I'm not saying what's wrong with, yeah.
And
And
there
you
isn't
you
anything
are
wrong with who I
you
am right
are
now.
you are not dead. So given the fact that you're not dead, you will continue to change and grow. And I think I think I'm really kind of uh sensitive about language, because I
I know
think
you are.
language is really, really important, and it becomes part of our internal narrative. And we base a lot of unconscious beliefs and behaviors on the words we tell ourselves. So I
Yes.
think it's fair to say it's something that I'm aware I could do, but it's not, I don't think it's as helpful to say I should do. I could do this and I could do that, and that's fair.
Well, what if you learn within yourself? Because I agree with you that the language and words can be hurtful. They can be helpful. I do also believe that um, people, not everyone grows and learns exactly the same way as everyone else, right?
Oh, of course. Of course.
So I know for me personally, and I go back to when I was in the military, and I enjoy challenges, especially when it's physical stuff. And now what I'm discussing
Yeah.
more is mental, the mental strength with the physical challenge, right?
So I am not saying anything about challenging yourself. I am saying that the way you phrase it, the way the context you put it in, makes a difference to how you feel about yourself.
No, no, no. I understand. I understand what you're saying. I
Oh,
wasn't at my point yet.
okay.
If I was to say the way I say it to myself helps me go after it, then and this is just how I think. See, I'm getting better. I'm paying attention to my words. I think that I have to say things a certain way to myself to get me to push my limits past the threshold. Does that make sense?
Have you ever tried using different words and seeing what happens? Or are you kind
Yeah,
of
I ended up going up to 224 pounds.
what? What? By saying what? By
No,
what? What are you saying?
by in my mind, I wasn't physically pushing, mentally and physically pushing myself.
What
I wasn't
distinction?
challenging.
What distinction are you making in the words? I don't know that we're really seeing eye to eye here at all.
No, I agree, and that's part of why we discuss these things because
But what are you saying? What are you saying that you what are you saying got you up to 220 pounds, and what are you saying you need to say to yourself in order to keep yourself motivated? What are the phrases to break it down? What do you have to say? What did you say to yourself that didn't work, and what do you say now that does work?
well, I feel like I don't no okay. I think along the lines of if I speak softly to myself, like I will get there, it will happen.
That's not what I'm suggesting.
Okay, but to me, that's what it sounds like. When I say I should embrace, I should. So, for example, at 8:30 tonight, when we're done, it's 8:30 here in San Diego. I'm going to get changed and I'm going to go to the gym. Okay. Now, I should probably just get some rest, clean up, and get ready for tomorrow. But I have to get my time in, and I can't. You see what I'm saying? So I have to tell myself what I
You're
need to
telling
do.
yourself what you're going to do, and that's
Right.
incredibly helpful and positive and sensible. But I'm just saying, if somebody should do something, the implication is that what they're doing is not okay. I will do it. I'm going to do it. That's what you just said. I'm not
Okay.
saying don't say that stuff. I'm just saying don't say I should do something, because then you're telling yourself there's something wrong with me unless I do X, Y, and Z. There's
Well, there is though.
You're saying I'm going to. I'm
No, but
not
what I
saying
mean is like, so I should. Okay, so
you
I
should
should.
get some rest. You just got through saying I should get some rest.
Right. Okay, so I should make more videos.
I'd like to make more videos, and my plan is to make more videos.
I understand.
I don't know the benefit of, and
I
I don't actually subscribe to the belief. Well, let me tell you about a client that my boss worked with, JF,
yes.
who I may have mentioned him before, but um, he was working with somebody who was court ordered to
Okay.
work with him because he was slapping his daughter.
Okay.
So he would slap his daughter and to get her to do the dishes. And so JF said to him, "Why do you slap your daughter?" he said, well, they get her to do the dishes. And JF just said, well, but why do you slap your daughter?
Right.
And this back and forth went on for about 20 minutes. And the guy was getting more and more frustrated because he just would not. I mean, he had no idea what JF was getting at. Finally, the light went on in his head, and he said, well, to get her to do the dishes. And JF said, well, did it ever occur to you that it might be enough to ask her to do the dishes? Well, the guy goes, no, that's how my father got me to do stuff. He slapped me and then told me what to do. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying
I
is that
understand.
you get into fused thinking based on the treatment that you get when you're a child, and you believe that you have to drive yourself. You believe that you have to beat yourself in order to get yourself to do anything. And I am not agreeing with that. That's all I'm saying.
No, I understand that. I understand. And I'm not saying to beat myself, but
That's what should is, though.
well, that's how.
That's how I understand it. And I believe that that's how most people's minds understand should.
Okay. Well,
Should is
I'll tell you what. I will, just like I have made a conscious effort to pay attention when I say feeling and thinking. I will make a conscious effort on this as well.
I mean, just have a look at it. I'm not
I
saying
understand
you're supposed to do this, and I'm not saying you should
that
do
I
this.
should do it
It's an invitation to consider
to
that,
grow.
well, to consider that there may be as much growth and potential in being gentle and compassionate with ourselves as there is in being badass and hard nosed with ourselves. And believing that we are something that need to be corrected.
Oh no, I understand that. I understand exactly where you're coming from. I just never
You never connected that.
I never looked at that at should as being
I know.
that derivative.
I know.
That's
I,
all.
yeah, I know. And I know. And I see how reluctant you are to consider that there may be, it's not been easy to have you look at another way of speaking to yourself.
Yes.
But, if you care to, try it on for size. If it fits, if it works,
I
good.
do. And you know, for the
Doesn't,
many years that we've been together, I have taken and applied, and sometimes it's harder than others, and that's how we grow, right?
that's how we grow.
I have to get out of my cocoon, right?
All by yourself, though.
No, not all by myself. I have assistance.
But then how do your wings get strong? You ultimately have to do this all by yourself.
Well,
I,
yes, I am, but oh, see, now you're even getting me here. How about that
look,
vagina
you said
conversation?
a long time ago, look, when you said, I want to do therapy with you online, I want to do live therapy online, I thought to myself, the guy's raving mad, pal. Absolutely batshit crazy. But you said, no, 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 I'm sure. So, be careful what you ask for.
Oh, I don't mind at all.
I know
I love it.
you're a masochist. No, you get free therapy is what happens.
Oh yeah, right.
You do.
Yeah, to an extent, and so does everyone who downloads, right?
Well, I don't know how relevant what I say is to other people, but certainly I got to tell you, I was talking to Christina,
Yes.
and she was absolutely cracking up when she listened to the episode where we were flipping through Jeff Brown's book,
Oh, through the book, yeah.
and he told me to stop, and I hadn't even started yet. And then because I did exactly the same thing with her, and she did exactly the same thing to me. She told me to
Yeah,
stop before and she was loving it. She loves our podcast, man. I got to tell you.
good. I'm glad. Yeah, well, I absolutely enjoy it, and I have people every day ask me, "What's your podcast again?" So I send it
Yeah,
to them, and
yeah, yeah,
and people jump in and jump out, and that's what it's there
yeah,
for.
yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that I've learned. We all have a voice. We all have experiences, and just like you just started the episode talking about the sisterhood that you found, and it's really because you found other people and that have had similar, not the same because they're never the same, but similar experiences, and you're like, whoa, I'm not alone. And
Well,
that's what this is about. Is it's really to find out that we're not alone, because we travel down these paths, and we start to, like you said, we create a narrative in our minds
yeah,
that no one else is going through, no one else is struggling,
yeah.
everyone else is blah 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 blah.
We're the only ones. It's so refreshing and amazing to realize that you're not alone. That's one of the most powerful things of any self-help group, is to realize that you're not alone doing this. You're not the only one.
And the fact that there is a lot of challenges with, are there people discussing similar experiences as you and I are? Yes, but not everybody's going to relate to them, and if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. I started working out and wanting to compete in a triathlon and be a triathlete for me. I wanted to challenge myself and see
Yeah,
if I had it and go through it. And it's been amazing to this point. I
yeah,
love it. And
yeah.
I've also found I have my cousin, Sohail. He's actually in Hawaii right now, but he sends me, it's his birthday the other day. I said, happy birthday. And he sends me a message. He goes, "You've been an inspiration to me. I'm trying to keep
Woo!
up with you because we both had the Nike running app. So he sees what I do, and I
Yeah.
see what he does. So, it's wonderful to know that you're not alone, and that someone else is excited as well. I mean, my wife, she's going to go running with me after this. She went from not exercising at all because of her back pain to walking for an hour on the treadmill. Now she went to running every other day, and now she's running Monday through Friday and taking it easy on Saturday and Sundays. So,
That's amazing.
and she feels great, and her attitude and just her outlook has changed because she was, this pain
Was to get her
made,
down. Get her down.
yeah, what,
She's
because
basically harnessing her body's natural endorphins.
right, and our bodies are amazing, our minds are amazing, and it's exciting to what you say, lead with the heart, be heartful, because I'm a big believer in feelings, as we have heard many times on here, because I everything I do, I don't. There's been so many statements, guys think with their little heads and their big heads and all this other stuff, right? And people, I always my mother, who doesn't probably listen to the podcast, but maybe I'll send her this episode. She has always said, Billy, 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 you do everything from your heart, because that's who I am, that's who I've always been, that's who I always will be.
Was that said in a way to imply that there was something wrong with that, though?
No, she said it in a way that, you know, um, that I always put myself out there, and I always will. And she always told me that. But she also, from a mother's standpoint, would also say, I want you to be cautious because I don't want you to get hurt as well. Because we don't want the people we care about to feel pain. But in the same aspect, like we've discussed here, it's also, you're going to feel pain at some point in life.
Well, and again, it goes back to the butterfly. We don't want to watch people that we love struggle, but
Right.
if we don't allow them to struggle, and if we try to take their struggle away from them, we deprive them of the opportunity to develop their wings to such a degree that they can actually fly.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I can break it down to one simple thing. The first weekend my daughter came back from college, and she said, "Dad, it's crazy how many kids do not know how to do their laundry." My 12-year-old does his own laundry. It's what we do in our household. You dirty them, you clean them. And some people are like, 12. They're doing, well, you know what? He's going to go to
That's
college and know how to do his laundry.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, they are. Yep.
But
What's
it's
your
that
point?
simple, right? It's that simple. If we fix everything for them, what happens when something breaks and we're not there?
And even more so, what I find when I talk to people, adult children of people whose parents took care of every single little detail for them, is they come to the conclusion, sometimes very unconsciously, that I must not be up to anything really, because if I was competent, they wouldn't be doing everything for me.
Yeah, they would have
But
let me do it.
they would have let me do it, so they must think I'm pretty freaking incompetent. It's terrible.
I love that.
But I
That's
see it
good.
over and over and over and over again. So really, you're 100% right, and you're giving your children much more of a gift than you even realize.
I hope so, because I need to wash my clothes when I get older.
I'm saying, mine too. Why do you think I? Yeah.
Well, you live in Hawaii. Isn't it always perfect there? I do want to bring one last thing up, and I know we got to go, but you were talking about perfection, right? The weather is it's always beautiful. Well,
Well,
you know how San Diego and San Diegans are. They always think the weather's going to be beautiful, right? Beautiful 70 and sunny. Well, it's been raining for 3 days.
I know.
And I'll tell you, it is like the world is ending here because people don't know how to drive. It's insane. So they're going to definitely appreciate that sun.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I probably, I don't know if I told you, but my landlord, before I even got out here and moved into this house, told me that it had been, in her words, shitting it down for 60 days. This was April 3rd, but like she must have told me this like mid-March or whatever. She
Right,
says doing nothing but raining for like 65 days solid. And I'm like, well, I knew I was coming to the wettest city in the United States.
right.
Hilo is the wettest city in the United States, has the most rainfall. But I figured I'd be fine because I lived in Cornwall and it rains a lot in Cornwall. So if I could cope with that there, I could cope with it here. And then when I got here, it rained for probably another 35, 40 days,
I remember.
pretty much nonstop. And I'm like, huh.
But
Wait, where am I?
it
But
looks sunny today.
it was beautiful today. The weather so far this winter has been quite beautiful. It's cold at night. Cold,
Yeah.
cold is a relative term, but it feels chilly in the morning, but then by midday, it's beautiful blue skies and must be 80 degrees, 82 degrees, breezy. It's breezier than I know it to be. It's quite
Okay.
windy, more windy now than I've known it to be in the summer. But there's always a breeze. There's always the trade winds. But
That's
the weather
awesome.
here, I mean, I don't know, there's just something totally magic about this island. Totally magic about it. And what have you found out about Iron Man? No, not Iron Man, but weren't you thinking of coming to Hawaii to
Yeah, that's later on in the season, and that, like I said, that probably wouldn't be till next season
well, I know that's
because
what
I have
I'm
to qualify.
but that's on the big island, right?
Yeah, the goal is this year to get a couple events under my belt. I have some running scheduled, and then I also have a 60-mile ride, and then a couple triathlons. I'm probably going to do one in Texas, Waco, and San Diego, stuff like that.
Wow.
So
That's amazing, Bill.
yeah, it's going to be fun.
That's pretty absolutely phenomenal actually.
Yeah, it's gonna.
For an old boy like you.
For an old man like me, crazy.
Pretty wonderful.
Yeah, it's fun. So I know you have to run,
Okay.
and everyone have a good evening. Thank you so much, Gina, for enlightening me again with my free therapy.
For tormenting you.
I love it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you have a one. Oh, when is your event?
Oh, the 23rd and 22nd and 23rd of February. So
Okay, so we have a month.
our first all cast rehearsal is this Sunday between 12 and 4. We're
Oh,
all
awesome. So next week on our show, we'll
be able
recap
to
how your rehearsal went.
yeah, be able to well, the beautiful thing about it is that we're given the monologue to read. We don't have to, it's someone else's words.
Right. You're not going to read yours.
It's not, I don't have one. These are ones that she collected when she was first putting this idea together, and she's used them year after year.
Ah, okay.
And these are just, ones that are part of the script. So we get given a specific monologue to read, and we sit on a stool on the stage and just read the monologue, but with
Right.
our own, inflections, our own personality that we put into it.
I like it.
Yeah. So check it out on YouTube. Just
I
type
will.
in Vagina Monologues, and you'll have any number of different shows to look at.
I definitely will.
Okay, good.
Okay. Well, you have a
Well,
wonderful week, and I'll see you next week.
all right, my friend. Good night.
Everyone, have a good day. Good night.